Okay, this is a quick tutorial to stay alive in low. Lowsec, nullsec, wormholes, things like that. The first rule is you don't travel by right-clicking. Don't do that. You can do it when you first come into a system, but the way you travel is you use your locations here. Now, like I am in this system. These are all the locations that I use regularly. I have safe spots where, I
warp drive active.
And let me show you. Press F11. This is how I make safe spots, is by pressing F11, seeing where I'm at in a system. You'll notice that I keep pressing this scan button, and that is to make sure nobody's trying to probe me. Okay. Now this shows you where you're at in the system. I'm really close to this thing right here. That's not good. So to make a safe spot, what you would do is you would warp between two objects. Let's try this one. I'd pick don't ever warp to moons, because that's where people put their bases. So I always warp to within 100. Then first off, it's good to add a location. Add a location, get your name right. I'm going to call this one S1 for safe one, and make sure that it's going in the right folder, which would be the system I'm in right here. Okay, now I would warp to the planet within 100. Okay, warp to within 100, and now when you press submit is when the bookmark actually gets made. So wait till you're, right in the center or whatever. Let me see, wherever you want it. You'll move. See how I'm moving? Now submit. Okay, now my bookmark will be right around in there. And the reason you do this is because if you hang out near bodies in space, people will use their D-scan to find you, and you'll never know they're coming. You use your scanner a lot, and there's a jump gate. I'm going to go over how to set up your overview, basically. Now, I'm going to work back to S1, which I don't know which one it is. I thought it would replace, but it didn't. So let's go back there.
Active.
We'll know if it's the right one because it'll stop in the right place. I'm going to delete the other one. I should have done that first. You can have multiple bookmarks with the same name. Alright, that does not look like to be the right one. So, I'm going to delete that one, remove location, and then when it stops, I'm going to warp to this one. Alright, and I think I am stopped.
Warp drive active.
Okay, now that's how you travel around. That's how you make safe spots. Instas, or the undock, what they're called. I just call them instas. Those are for undocking from stations. Some people make them at every station. I only make them at the stations that I dock at. Usually just one in a system, and I don't go to any other station. So I like to pick the last one in a series. Like stations, I'll pick the last one. In this case, I have a mission. I have missioning at one of these stations, so that's the one I pick. See how I'm stopped right here? Now, for anybody to find me, it is impossible for them to get to me without using a probe launcher and probes. So the way I make sure that nobody's coming to get me is I keep pressing the scan, and if there are any probes in space within 15 AU, they'll pop up in here, and then I'll know somebody is scanning in the system. And you can always lower this, like I'll go over here and delete the first one and press 1 because this thing's so fucked up and in kilometers. And that will be about 8 AU. And if I see that the probes are getting closer, you know, by making this smaller, then you know that they're trying to scan for you more than likely. So the way you set this up to do max range is just hit a bunch of 9s in there and press enter, and it will do the max. Enter, enter, enter. Do it, bitch. Enter. Alright, why the fuck didn't that work? Oh, just click off. It used to be pressed enter, so we're in a new expansion now. Just came out today, so having little issues here. And okay, now in order for this to work correctly, you have to have this to use active overview settings. If you unclick that and scan, you'll see other things, you know, all kinds of shit that you don't need to see. You know, now there could be a ship hidden in there anywhere, or probes or whatever, so you don't need that. Use active overview settings. Now, see, like I have multiple tabs up here for different things. My salvage one will pull up a bunch of wrecks, you know, so it's kind of not useful in this situation. Now, the way you set your overview up, basically, all right, is you go in here to open overview settings, and you go into filters, and you would deselect everything. Alright, everything's off. Now, if your overview won't see anything, you change what you want to see. Now, you want to see all ships. Right click here on ships and select all. Alright, you want to see all ships. Your celestial bodies, you want to see warp gates. You want to see stargates. And most importantly, you want to see probes. Now let me find where those are. I think they're in deployable. No. Charges. Alright, right here. Under charges. Scanner probes, survey probes, interdiction probes. You know what? All these would probably be pretty good to see. Alright, and then you would go over here to overview tabs. Give your tab a name. Like I'll just hold on a second. Alright, make sure nobody's scanning me down while I'm doing this. I'll just put this one in. Let's call it test or tutorial. Alright. Then you would go over here to overview profile. The difference between bracket profile and overview profile is the brackets are in space. These are brackets over here. Now, if I enable this, show all brackets as default. If I enable this to be the one I just made tut, which is not in here for some reason. Anyway, it would only show what I had in the overview set up. I don't do that. I just leave it to show all brackets. Now right here, your overview profile, you want that to be the same. I think I have to save this by going up here and going to save current type selection. And I'm going to type tut. Okay, now I have the option to put that in there. Now that changes my overview to only see those items. And if I only want to see those items in space, then I click right like that. So you see how that works. And now when I scan, okay, there's an Imicus somewhere out there, which is that's not scary. People fly around in space, you know, it's not a big deal. So I close this. Now I didn't create a new tab for it. All you gotta do is just click one of the tabs and add tab. Call it whatever. You can go to that. Anyway, you get the idea. But you gotta have the overview set up right. everything that you think will be a danger or important to you needs to be in the overview. But you don't need to see asteroid belts. You don't need to be seeing, a lot of other bullshit, Try to, as less as possible is best. Another thing for living in hostile territory, you got to keep the local open. And it allows you to see who's there. And the more time you spend there, you'll get to know people that come regularly that live there. You'll see pirates, people with with skulls and stuff. You'll see when large groups of people jump in. It just keeps you aware of what's going on. You also have to keep places open. I think I mentioned that at the beginning. That's how you travel. Every system you go to, the first thing you should do is set up a safe spot and then an insta warp from a station. That keeps you from getting stuck, so you don't have to align. And to do that, let me show you how you do that. I have a specific chip that I use for that goes really fast. So I'm going to just go to the first station on the list.
Warp drive active.
Warp drive active.
Right. Oh, see, now my overview is set to HUD. It needs to be set to load standard. Alright, there's a Tengu out here somewhere. So you can also, you can vet these people, sort of like look in to see who they are.
Accepted.
Docking request accepted.
How long they've been playing gives you an idea of what skills they'll have. Alright, now, to set up an insta, you undock. Alright. And I usually stop because this ship's really fast. It'll go off on a tangent really quick. So, stop. Alright, then I turn on this thing right here. And that will give me a level plane. You see how I'm kind of flying up? I don't want to do that. I want to fly straight away from the gate. So I put the plane like that. I line up. And then I just click in space to try to straighten myself out. Alright? And then I will stop. And this is all kind of, once I think I'm straight, I'll stop. Because once you come to a complete stop, your ship will level out. And then you'll be flat. Then I just turn the go button up here, press the plus, and it goes to max. And then I turn on my micro warp drive. So now I am flying, and I don't really have to worry too much about people catching me. It's important to make sure that your Insta bookmark is at least 300 kilometers. I think it's 300 kilometers or 350. I always make mine pretty far out, anywhere between 500 and 1,000 or more. That way, when you warp out, when you use your Insta, nobody can see you anymore in their overview. I think there's a max in your overview of 350. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong on that. But you want it to be at least 350. I know that that's pretty standard. Alright, now I'm at 267, 270. And let me see here. Go ahead and start the add location thing and make this an Insta from Insta, and then I name the station so that they don't get mixed up. I'll put Fed, Defense, Union. Now sometimes there's multiple of these stations, so you have to find some way to identify them. And then I will submit when I am at whatever distance I want to be at. So 500 kilometers, there you go. And I'll submit. Alright, now my Insta is right about there where I was at. Now I'm going to go back and dock and use it. And show you why it's important
Warp
to have
drive
it.
active.
Warp drive.
A lot of times, people will just be sitting outside of your station waiting for you to come out, And if you come out and try to align to something, they're gonna lock you and kill you. So having an insta means that you'll warp almost instantly
Docking
upon
permission
exiting the
requested.
station.
Docking request
Docking
accepted.
requested. Docking request accepted.
Alright. Now when you exit the station, make sure you have your system folder open. Know which thing you're going to click on, and then undock. Alright, I'm going to click on this one and right click. The hotkeys don't seem to work for me, or else I would use those, but they don't work in the
Warp
bookmarks.
drive
Then
active.
go to warp to 0.
Warp
Watch how
drive
fast I warp.
active.
See, I mean, it's like 1 second that they have to lock you, and by the time they see you, that second's already gone. It's not very likely that they'll lock you. Now, once you get here, you don't sit here, because if they have an insta, they can pop up like pretty close to you, you know? So you use this just to get away initially from the
Warp
station,
drive
then you go to
active.
one of your safe
Warp
spots.
drive active.
It's just it's a time buffer. Turn that off. And there you go. You're pretty much safe. Now that keeps you like 99% safe in lowsec if you want to be safe, you know? So that is pretty much how you do it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel. I'll be making more of these.